What does the cross on your forehead signify? It's a knife.
Was good, y'all? BeatGenerals.com back with a brand new tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be doing a 21 Savage style track. So this track was based on the No Heart track by him, produced by Metro Boomin. So it has more kind of a trap feel with some laid back kind of instrumentation. The main thing that I was really trying to focus on was getting that laid back instrumentation. Like, there's a real cool thing that they're doing where it's still simple. It doesn't really sound super complex, but it's still full enough to really just carry the track. So getting that little balance was a little bit tricky, but if you know what to use, it's really super easy to do, and it's a really popular sound right now, so you can really just get these beats out quickly, make some sales, and just use it to kind of promote yourself. So without further talking, let's jump into the next section and start on this beat. So when I think of a 21 Savage beat, I think of something that's somewhat kind of slow. It almost has kind of a dragging along type vibe, almost a horror movie soundtrack type vibe. A lot of the sounds they use, in my opinion, kind of reminds me of horror type stuff. So that was kind of what I was thinking of when I made this beat. Now, to actually do the background stuff, you could really go with a bunch of different stuff. You could go with maybe a EP, play stuff out with there, maybe a nice little pad sound. But what I decided to use is pretty much most banks that we have at studiosounds.com have chord hits in them. So it's basically you could just hold one note and get a minor chord or a major chord for some of them, and really just kind of move on from there. So these actually really fit very well into that sound. So I included this particular sound for Massive for you guys in the download, just one patch, but it's actually from an upcoming bank at studiosounds.com where you'll have a ton of these different sounds in there. So I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys this one so you guys can follow along with the tutorial. But basically, here's what it sounds like. And that's literally just holding one note on a higher octave and then going to a lower octave, and it just already gave me that sound I needed. And like I said, we have a ton in here, so when this actual bank drops, you can use different ones, but the one that we're going to be using is number 3. So let me go ahead and lay this down. It's just going to be 2 notes. So the first thing we want to do is let's go ahead and do a quick legato just to make sure everything connects. And now what we want to do is for this first note, we're going to actually keep the velocity a little bit higher, and all these patches are velocity sensitive from our bank. So for the second one, we're actually going to make it a little bit lower just to give it almost kind of a sampled feel and make it not so uniform. So let's take a listen to it. The second one is going to be a lot more faint, and in the background we might have to adjust the volume a little bit, but let's go ahead and take a listen to it. Okay, so it's just reduce it to about 5% is what I have mine on, so pretty low, but it works. Just kind of give us a little bit of a difference in the actual track and give us some variety, just because it is going to loop for a little while. So let's jump in the next section and add to this. So the second sound that I loaded up is the chord echo chords. Okay, so it has that kind of sound, so I just want to use this to thicken this sound up a little bit, and then I'm also going to play a little bit of a pattern over that lower section just to give it a little bit of movement and not have it so 1 2 1 2. So let's go ahead and just lay that down. We can actually just copy and paste this since it'll be pretty similar, and then for the second section we just want to something like that. Let's try that real quick, and what we're going to do actually is turn this down. So we're going to do the opposite. We're going to make the first one lower, and then the second one we're going to pick up the velocity a little bit just to give that little area a little bit more energy. And we can actually just go ahead and copy and paste it. So just hit Control and B to paste it over. Let's go and take a listen to it. Okay, so that's cool. It just gives us that nice vibe. And now let's go ahead and just do a quick little EQ on this first chord hit. Okay, so we have something like that. So it just has a nice, cool vibe. Still has that. For some reason, I keep wanting to say murderous vibe, just because that's the first thing I think of when I think of 21 Savage and that whole sound. There's probably a better term for it, but for right now, it just has a very kind of murderous type sound, if that makes sense. So let's jump into the next section and continue working on it. So once I had that, I actually started laying out the beat, and I started on the hi-hats just to start giving the track some bounce. And the reason I went to kind of the drums so quickly is because these two by themselves, it already kind of gives me the vibe I need, and I didn't want to really overproduce it or make it too melodic. I kind of wanted to keep that grittiness of just those sounds. Later on, if I needed to add some, I could always do that. And usually the way I gauge on if when I'm kind of finished with a beat, if it needs more or if it's cool, is usually I'll find a song by an artist that I maybe have in mind for the actual track, and I'll try to find maybe a song that's a similar BPM or maybe a similar vibe or maybe a similar subject to what I feel like somebody should be rapping about on that particular beat, and then I'll just rap the verses to my beat. And from just kind of rapping, I can kind of tell, okay, this kind of would sound not that great with an artist. Or I'll figure out, okay, if this just has some vocals on it, it really doesn't need much else. So just a quick way to kind of check, rap a verse you like or rap a verse that's maybe similar to the beat, to the track, and just see if you find yourself getting bored as you're rapping it, or if it actually kind of starts to sound good, and it'll kind of give you a good little idea if you want to add more, if it's actually okay. But anyway, so like I said, I started working on the hats, just kind of start building the bounce. So I have two hi-hats, an open hat and kind of just a regular closed hat. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just fill these two steps on this hat, and then we'll go to the piano roll and then hit Alt and Q on our keyboards to quantize this. I'm using the MPC2 on this, so you can find different quantize settings if you want, but MPC2 usually works well for me. And once I have that, now these are going to have a little bit of a bounce to them, so let's go ahead and add these to the actual track for right now. So we have something like this. And that's actually the wrong hat. Let's go ahead and copy that pattern up. So let's go ahead into the piano roll. We can kind of figure out what we want to do to this. So I am going to add some rolls in here just because it's going to help with the speed of the track, just kind of help pick up the pace a little bit and keep it interesting. So I'm going to do a couple of different rolls. The first one we're going to do right over here, just kind of leading up, and we'll just kind of crescendo that up. So we have something like this to start with. So let's go into this actual channel settings for this, and let's go ahead and truncate it just so it'll cut off when we need it to. So you want to just make sure you turn everything to the left except for the hold. It just goes all the way to the right. And then you just want to come to your piano roll and you want to set how long you want these to be. So I want to just make sure that they're cutting off right before that next little hat. and then just Alt and Q again, quantize those. So we have something like this. Okay, and that was kind of the start of it. Just I had my bounce from here, so I started working on the rest of the drums. So let's jump to the next section. I'll show you guys more of that.